Hey, tervetuloa. Welcome to Startup at the Finish with me, Mark Wiltshire, where I speak with entrepreneurs in Finland to inspire entrepreneurs in Finland. Hearing their stories, learning from their tips, avoiding their missteps, and celebrating their progress. In this episode, we're joined by Richard Haukka, who is going to tell us about how working with one company can lead to other opportunities with other companies. Richard, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
So first of all, introduce yourself a little bit more and tell me about your business.
Yeah, I'm Richard Haukka, Finnish last name. I'll probably start with that. I have Finnish heritage. I was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. But my parents are immigrants, both sides. Mom and dad are immigrants from Finland. They came over as children, and I grew up speaking English. But I spoke a little bit of Finnish with my grandparents, so I cheated a little bit. It's easy to learn for me.
It was certainly a cheat when we first met a couple of years ago, and you said, no, I speak Finnish already.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on, you've just arrived.
That's right. It's unusual, especially these days, to come from Canada and have Finnish language skills. So it was kind of handy. So family's Finnish, and I have a Finnish wife, and I guess we'll get into it. Why Finland? But so
it's my next question. Yeah. So what brought you? What made you guys decide to move back to Finland? I don't know if that's quite the right word.
Back for my wife is the right verbiage. But I originally didn't really have a plan to come here at all. I had a good life and a career path, and I was busy in Canada. Our kids were doing well in school and hit the teenage years. My eldest daughter, she's now 21, decided at that time when she graduated high school that, hey, I want to take advantage of my Finnish heritage and see the world. And she got on a plane and came to Finland in short order and left us thinking maybe we should do the same and see what that's all about. Yeah.
So you said you had an established career in Canada. What were you doing, and what was your journey once you came here from that job into becoming an entrepreneur in Finland?
Good question. It definitely wasn't a one-step move. It took it actually took a couple of years to kind of back out of a few things and make the move. But in Canada, I had done a 25-year career in public transportation, starting off as a mechanic and getting my certifications and doing that work, getting into management roles and leadership, and eventually moving into the private world. And I was a director level individual where we worked to acquire companies in the same space and fix them up and build a business. And we did that for about 5 years before I came to Finland. So coming here, stopping all that and coming here, my transition, I chose to do it through education. So I did an international business degree program through SAMP here in Seinäjoki. I actually started it online before I came to Finland, and I kind of ran out of online course options. And then that was kind of like, okay, it's now or never. So I jumped and I came over to Finland and did some school online. I graduated December. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah. It was relatively quick time to complete the degree. But if you've done some work before and you've got the past experience, it all helps.
Yeah.
We connected before you moved here. You were introduced into one of my many WhatsApp groups.
That's right.
And I guess that's one step to building a network. Did you receive or need any other kind of integration support when you arrived here?
I'm going to say absolutely. I didn't even appreciate what I actually needed when I first came here. I didn't know what to know, like to ask for. I'd never changed countries before. I kind of took it for granted that I know a little bit of the language and I have some family here and it'll happen. And it was way harder than I expected it to be in some ways. Like the emotional things, all the transitions in professional life and everything all at once was a real shock. I took it in stride and kind of tried to keep my head above water. But I really didn't appreciate kind of the support I actually needed. So it was really great to have connections through like WhatsApp and through some other social contacts. I think it was within 10 days of moving here that I think I met you in person at that. I can't remember the name of that bar was with the ukulele band and stuff.
Yeah.
That was it was a fun way to be introduced to a bunch of other people in the community.
That's funny because the previous episode we spoke with Sarah, who plays and sings with the Senior Ukulele Orchestra. So that's two shout outs for them in 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was a really unique experience. To be honest with you, I think anybody that hasn't seen it should go see that. It was really fun. Yeah. But it was really nice to have those support networks and because what happens to somebody, I think that I didn't really appreciate it when you move countries. Even when you have those contacts and you go out and have coffee with people and you go for meetings and all that, at the end of the day, you're still going home or to your place where you live alone, and you've got nothing else going on. Like you have to rebuild everything, and that's the thing that you have to be prepared for and you have to work at, right? So,
and I think if some people move to Finland in a relationship, and if their partner has a network here, even if it's a family network, they don't always appreciate what you as the foreigner are missing,
right?
Or what you've left behind.
Just not aware of it.
Important. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And when we first met around that time, you also came and had a chat with me and the guys at Wise, and you had approximately 150 potential business ideas buzzing around your brain. And by the end of that first meeting, we were exhausted. So I don't know how it must have been for you at that time. How did you decide? We're going to talk primarily about Hawk's Vision Consulting. How did you decide from all those ideas which was going to be the one you moved forward with or moved forward with first?
I let opportunity to kind of help me decide which way to go. I think that's the short answer to that question. But you're right. I had unmoored myself from a career path that was relatively determined and was very narrow, and I was doing one thing for most of my adult life where I became very good at it. And to be now suddenly thrust into a new environment where I could do anything, like my head exploded. I was like, man, I really want to do this. I've always wanted to do that. I started making phone calls, and I must have booked 50 meetings in the first 60 days that I was here. I was visiting everybody that wanted to talk to me about something. All kinds of entrepreneurs and business owners in the area. It was really a fun time in that way. I really stretched myself, I sweat a lot, but I learned a lot of things. But what I realized was that there are certain things that are opportunities that could really work and be viable in this area. And so I chose to start my first company as a consulting company so that I could come in and then leverage my experience in business ethics and business practices and in general, expertise. I'm very good at Excel and a few other things. So I've helped some, do some planning work and then take advantage of local opportunities. So through Hawk's Vision Consulting, like I think we'll talk about for sure, but I started a bicycle repair and rental business at Simpsiö, which is in Lapua, 25 minutes from here approximately. But I also did a bike park startup project with them, and that happened again partly from like, hey, this would be awesome. I created a pitch. I had a pitch deck, and I went to a couple of meetings, pitched it. Everyone kind of going, oh wow, okay, this is not here. We don't have this here. And then by the end of the spring, we're doing it, and it turned into a term project, which I had about 6 months. We got it running last year. It was great. At the same time, I started the bicycle repair business and the rental business, which turned out to be very important for Simpsiö because the bike thing is a new thing here. And so I actually just recently crunched the numbers for the new year. I think during the summer, about 40% of the people that visited the hill actually rented a bike, which is an insane number.
Yeah.
So it
showed how many people were being brought to the hill to try the bike. Some would have had their own bikes, obviously.
Yeah, well, a lot of them do, and actually most people usually do, but it was surprising to find out that many came without a bike, wanted to try it.
Yeah.
And so just opening doors, So to answer your question, to do the things, that had the biggest opportunity is how I decided to do what I'm doing now.
So being a consulting business got you into conversations with companies, and then you were able to see if you could make them an offer that maybe you could do some business together.
Yeah, it's a unique relationship when you're offering competency and services, but then you're like, hey, you have this opportunity. What about this? And then you're pitching. It's kind of neat.
One question that we believe that most people have skills that can be transferred from their private life or from their hobbies or whatever into their business. And I know, but explain how that has been the case for you in what you've done since you've been in Finland.
So I actually have to tell a story. One of my mentors,
that's what we're here for, so go for it.
One of my mentors in Canada, probably 2010-ish, he pulled me aside, and I had really gone down this for a couple of years into this very technical project in the field I was in at the time. And he pulled me aside and he said, listen, you are the best at this. And I'm like, thank you. And he's like, but listen, you need to walk away from it after you're done this part. I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, because if you continue down this path, you will corner yourself to being a technical expert. And that's all that people will know you as for. You are young, you are smart, you should concentrate on transferable skills. And I'm like, what are you talking about? New idea, right? So that the idea of transferable skills has been lodged in my head for a long period of time. And so what are the transferable skills that I've learned that serve me well in a completely different country, in a different field, in a different language? And it's often being able to map out a business idea and communicate its benefits and its strengths and weaknesses, being able to get behind something and like you, as you know me, I get relatively excited. I'm very passionate about things that I believe in, and I can believe in something when I understand it. I can understand the numbers and why it'll work, and regardless of what industry it is or what your services are or products you are, if you can understand the basic mechanics of a business, you can get behind it and get excited about it, and you can find money for it, and that's how the world turns in my head.
But then the first thing that you got involved in is the bike park and the rental shop. Why that?
Okay, so I'm a lifetime bicycle cyclist person. My original passion as a kid was riding bikes and spending my summers on bicycles. I started a bicycle repair business when I was 12 with my 13-year-old friend in Canada, also Finnish heritage guy. And I was the mechanic and he was the manager, which is kind of an interesting relationship if you look back on it now. But we would find people in the community and I would fix bikes, and then we would ride bikes and break them and fix them again. And I was fixing, when I was 13, 14, 15, I was fixing all the neighborhoods' bicycles and the kids at school's bikes. And that was my entrepreneur spirit, kicking in already at that point. And I love bikes. So the bike rental business, it's very capital intensive. But to me, it's a low risk because I know bikes and I can fix them myself, and I'm not dependent on some other third-party mechanical services, and so that's a real strength of mine. Anything mechanical, I fix myself, and I understand how they work, and I know where to find the parts, the right price, and that kind of thing. So
you brought your passion from Canada along with your transferable business skills and put those two things together, and that's what started you.
Yeah,
that's what started you.
Two
off.
Strengths, right?
So, how did you figure out the market potential for the bike park and the shop in Lapua? How did you know there would be customers there?
Okay, so good question, because the last time there was a bike shop in Lapua was, 5-6 years ago, and the last bike shop guy retired and he just closed the shop up and everybody just started taking their bikes to Seinäjoki, and that's the kind of the end of that life cycle. But what I offer is a different type of service. I'm oriented for the downhill mountain bike park, for off-road mountain biking in the forest. I have e-bikes. These are very expensive bikes. It's a different kind of clientele. It's not just this bike that you take to the train station or the store. I service those as well, but that's not the focus. And
the world seems to be moving in that direction towards these more expensive bikes. The only place you can buy a normal bike nowadays is kind of like the car car parts stores like Biltema or
Yes,
supermarkets.
that's right,
All
yeah.
the other bike shops are now going to that end.
Correct, because there's a totally different experience. And so your question about how did I know there was going to be customers there is I did some market research. I'm well versed in the Western Canadian, North American, the Western Seaboard mountain biking scene that it started happening in the 1990s already, and I was always a part of. And I've seen the trends, the types of bike technology have changed, the types of riding that's changed. And you can, once you know what's going on, you can simply go for a walk in the forest and look at the trails, and you can see what kind of riding is happening there. So when I came to Finland, I started immediately curious, went for a walk. Hey, oh wow, some of these trails are great. And but they look like they were built 15 years ago, even if they were new, because of the trail design. So I know what kind of riding is happening here. And so I'm like, oh wow, there's a time gap which I know what it looks like between what's happening here and what's going to happen.
You've seen the future.
In 10 years, right? And then I found out by talking to the bicycle stores in Finland and doing some online research that bicycle sale trends of these types of bikes and these price ranges are shifting, and the sales are also tracking what happened in Canada 10, 15 years ago. What's happened in Canada is happening here now. So I'm like, this is a great opportunity. The economy, depending on who you ask, is, in my opinion, in Finland is doing pretty well. People are invested in being outside and spending money on outdoor sports. The shift, to making your outdoors your passion is happening here. You're seeing that same trend. So to me, all the pieces were right. That Lapua doesn't have a bike shop, and also the whole bike park. Simpsiö is the biggest rock, 250 kilometers in any direction, that has lift access. So it's like, this is also a no-brainer. If you get behind this place, and this place is destined to grow, because if you want to go somewhere decent to ride that has a lift, and you're here in Seinäjoki, you either have to go to Tampere or you have to drive all the way up north to Ylläs or even out to Ruka or one of these kind of places.
Was it a hard sell to the town of Lapua?
Not really. I actually expected it to be a little bit tougher, but they had already started the work. The city of Lapua had started to reinvest into the hill. They had a new building going up, and they were looking for ideas. So when I kind of walked in at the right time.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of this past experience and interests and transferable skills also met with serendipity when you arrived here.
Yeah.
What let's start with this. What practical issues related to starting a company were you faced with? What were the most challenging things for you to understand about starting a company, or was it fairly straightforward in Finland?
I had a lot of help. So I booked several sessions at Into Seinäjoki, and I was meeting every week with people at Invest Lapua. And they handheld me and walked me through a lot of the processes and procedures to apply for business online and do all the stuff and make sure I had insurance. And finding a good accountant was a big deal. I used a local accounting firm that has office here in Seinäjoki and Lapua. Those kind of things really make the difference. Having done that work, I think I was a little bit alarmed at one point is when I realized I needed employees. I had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, don't hire people." I'm like, "Well, because there's all these laws and things that I don't know about," and I'm like, "Well, I need to hire people." So
can't do it all myself.
Yeah, so I kind of had some quick learning and people just telling me over coffee what I need to know, which is a little bit unnerving because in Canada I'm well versed with labor laws and things, so the differences were there. The other thing that's different is the cultural differences. So the way people communicate in Finland, the body language, and the reciprocal, like how people reciprocate information is different. So sometimes I'm left thinking I totally got what you were going to say and you're going to send me something, and then no, that was the conversation. So I had to learn how to handle that part of it as well. Yeah.
And what about support that you received at the beginning, whether it's financial support or advice or something else that gave you the help you needed to get going?
Right. So I did use some of my own my own capital to start my business, but I also did. I went through the process to get grant money through Buddy.
Okay.
So they do the north of Seinäjoki area.
This is the local action group and leader groups. Yeah,
great people. And actually, I was recommended to them by two of the companies that I had done some work with. You should talk to these people. So I did, and so they walked me through a grant process, and I was able to get some grant funding as well through those people, which is really nice. And I was actually surprised to hear about all the different grant funds available to entrepreneurs in this part of the world, more than in Canada.
Yeah.
And so I was pleasantly surprised to see that kind of support.
I suppose those leader groups and also the ELY-keskus, the Department for the Development, Environment and Transport, they have various schemes that companies can apply for.
Yes.
Not everyone qualifies, but there are at least a couple of places that can be somewhere to apply for to get the business up and running.
Yeah, it's great.
So when it came to marketing, starting with the bike park and the rental shop, what kind of marketing plan did you make, and how did you go about finding those customers, I guess?
Yeah, that's also a great question. I probably could have done a better job of that, but I just focused my energies on Instagram. And the reason I did that is because I know how to use Instagram, and I noticed that locally there's an Instagram base of mountain biking people. And the other hills in Finland use Instagram frequently, so I'm like, I'm just going to do Instagram. And so I started the year one with that. I started a feed for Haukka Bikes, and then I started. Then I also had collaborative access to the Simpsiö, the ski hill bike park thing, and so I would use both of them. And then what I found was not everybody would follow both. Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started the project with Simpsiö had I think it was 1,500 followers, 1,600 followers, and then Haukka Bikes I started a month later with 0. And by the end of the summer, which was only 3 months, Simpsiö had 3,800 followers.
Wow.
And Haukka Bikes had almost 500.
Okay. Wow.
And I was getting daily questions and peppering of what's going on, and it was very, very active. And so and I did it all by myself, while I'm doing everything else. So I was pleasantly surprised to see the growth and the interest. I would actually test it to see if it was working by just posting events. Hey, Thursday this day we're going to do a 2-hour group ride, and then people would show up. 30 people would show up. So I didn't have to put it anywhere else or make noise. People were following it, and it was very successful.
Except you did do something else at the beginning that really caught my eye, which is the WhatsApp community.
And the WhatsApp group. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, right. So I don't consider that advertising, but it actually is.
No, but it's maybe it's even not more important, but important in a different way, because you're building community. Yeah. I mean, it's in the word, but I've jumped into this. I don't know now if you did it first, or if I had this idea of, hey, WhatsApp's got communities. What does that mean? What it means is a group of groups, and each group within there can have a certain
and that's been
topic.
Really great. Yeah, I think before we even opened the park, there was 80 or 90 people on that.
That's what I noticed. Because I'm in there just because I wanted to see what was going on. I've no intention of throwing myself off the side of a hill on a fast-moving bike.
But if you change your mind, I'll come with you.
Yeah, maybe. But that wasn't why I joined it. I joined it because I wanted to see what I was interested in your business, and I just wanted to see how this group used it. And it was really interesting because it was really enthusiastic all the way through. You had an end of season extravaganza.
Yeah, the jam.
And then it went silent. And then from when we were recording a couple of weeks ago, someone popped up and said, "Are there season tickets available yet?" And I was like, "Okay,
here it comes."
The community's woken up, and now it's restarting.
Yeah,
but I think that community was really interesting thing to use, and I now have all sorts of WhatsApp communities for around different topics, and I think it's a really good way to communicate to people who are interested in what you're interested in.
You're absolutely right. It is very good. Yeah.
Around one of my podcasts, I started a WhatsApp group, and the idea is not just to grow the numbers and have as many people as possible, but to have people in there that are really interested in what we're doing. And when I post something in there where there's 25 people, I get much more interaction than when I post to a Facebook group that essentially is also supposed to be people who are interested in the podcast, and that's got 200 people in. I get more from this WhatsApp group, and I think somehow maybe people just don't see it on social media because they're in so many groups, and you get so much stuff you don't follow served up to you nowadays. And I find that these communities are somewhere where you can actually really get your message to people more effectively. For my experience,
I think you're right. There's something to that dynamic that it is more direct, and also that's like you get a message. It's got the one there waiting for you to read it. Social media, it's like it goes through. If you're not posting 3 times a week, you disappear.
Yeah, that's probably even if someone's chosen to be in the group, if the group is not active enough, then maybe they don't see it. That's right. Yeah. That's right. So you had this going on last year, but let's take it back to when you said Hawks Vision Consulting. You can work with a company, and maybe it leads to other opportunities. Because I think this is quite important for the listener to understand that maybe it's possible to have a job and do your entrepreneurial thing, and that it can be a side hustle. It could be 50-50 split, whatever the agreement is. What other opportunities has working through Hawks Vision opened up for you?
Well, I actually wouldn't mind talking a little bit about ESLA.
Yeah.
ESLA's a good example. It's actually a multi-prong thing with ESLA. So I did an internship with ESLA. I did several internships during my time at SAMP. But I did an internship with ESLA. Really enjoyed it. Got to work on international marketing and some strategy stuff. And so when I announced that I was going to graduate and my term had come up, they were excited to have me on. And so we had talked about all kinds of different ways to do that. But I ended up taking on the project of internationalizing to North America with ESLA.
Tell the listener a little bit about what ESLA does.
So if you don't know, it's Erkki Samueli Lahtinen Oy, which is the initials ESLA, and ESLA.fi if you want to Google it, if you want to look it up online. But they're the world's oldest and largest kick sled manufacturer. That's what they're famous for. They were established in 1928, originally as an importer of Indian motorcycles from the United States. But with the guy was handy, a machinist thing, and he started making his own stuff. The kick sled is the kind of the world famous product that was a result of that. And yeah, they've been around for a long time. They make all kinds of really interesting, uniquely Finnish design products. And the fourth generation, and still family run. And so they would love to go out and outside of the Finnish borders, especially European borders, and expand into bigger markets like Canada, US, where the weather is, very similar to Finland, where you have a lot of winter, you have a lot of snow secure areas still, even with the climate change stuff. You still have vast areas of Canada which are still winter 8 months a year, so I'm doing that, and it's been interesting because once you get into that kind of work, you realize that even though there are a lot of similarities, there's also a lot of differences. I find the take on marketing is very different in Finland versus the take on marketing in North America. How you approach it, the kind of energy you put into it, the kind of messaging you use, it's very foreign in Finland. So I find that it's created an interesting opportunity where we're kind of educating each other. It's like, well, it should be like this. Oh no, it should be like that. Well, why not? And then because people want to see this, they do. You know why? And so we have this really interesting intercultural discussions around that. So,
and are you working within Esler? Did you take a job there? Is it full time, or what's the arrangement you got?
Yeah, so I'll talk about it on this so I actually initially did work directly in Esler right after I graduated, or during the end period of it. But what I'm now doing is I'm doing the internationalization part as a project through consulting.
Okay.
Right, and so I initially jumped in as an employee, but we changed the term, so it's done through the consulting thing. It gives me freedom to leverage other tools that they can't do internally. So I'm able to kind of go back and forth between the countries, and I'm able to set up. We actually have a new distributor in Canada, which is really exciting, and probably a new distributor in the United States side. Although with politics, it's been a little touch and go, but it looks like it's going to happen. So. Yeah,
I would suggest not sending the products to Canada first and then to America. That might be a challenge.
That's true.
Spring 2025.
Yes.
So that means as we come into the summer and the bike park season opens again, your time's going to be divided between the two businesses again.
Yes. Yeah. And as things go on, you don't just do what you did last year. We evolve. So. The way I'm approaching the season this year is going to be very different. Whereas I tended to try and just do everything myself the first time. This time I'm going to rely on other people to take care of operational things. So I don't have to be in there with my sleeves rolled up, from morning to night the whole entire week.
But maybe doing that the first year is the way you learn what you can do and what you needn't do.
Yes, yeah. And also what's really going on, on the ground level. It's really great to see. For me, it was an eye-opener to have retail level on the floor customer interactions with Finnish people, right, and international people. I was surprised to find we had customers, a couple from France, a couple from Germany, Denmark, Sweden. We had some international visitors, people traveling in Finland for the summer. Really fun.
And found you.
Yeah. So it was really important experience for me to understand kind of how that interaction goes.
So if you're going to be not quite so hands-on, who are your kind of most important partners or collaborators in running that side of your business?
Well, I'll start by saying that the hill itself.
Right.
So the Simpsiö Bikepark, it's the company that owns and operates the hill. They actually have staff, and they own the lifts, and they run the lifts, and they certify all that stuff like that. To leverage their own people to actually maintain the business that they actually own instead of just me.
So they can keep their employees working all year round as well.
Yeah, so it wasn't just me doing it because I was the only one there all summer. First time it's been open in the summer in 40 years. So that now we have momentum. We have clients and customers that are going to come back this summer. Now the hill can operate the hill side of the business.
Okay. Yeah, you proved the concept.
Yeah.
And now they'll help develop it.
Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned before, we talked about community, and you mentioned before that other downhill parks are active on Instagram. How is the community among your competitors? Is it really competitive? Is it collaborative?
It's very collaborative.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So downhill mountain biking in Finland is new. It can still say it's new. It's the bike parks that exist in Finland that are not the big ones in the north. The big ones in the north are almost exempt from what I'm talking about because they are international. They have X $1 million budgets to build and landscape these things, and they market internationally. They're getting people coming from Southern Europe by airplane into the north, and they fly. It's like a different vibe. But what I'm talking about is like from Simpsiö south. The bike park people, I've ended up on phone calls and chat groups with these people that run these parks. Hey, great to see another park, and because we're all so far apart. Now there's another dot on the map, and these kind of conversations. And hey, what's your numbers look like? And what are you charging for this? These kind of conversations happen a little bit because everybody's curious, or we're few and far between.
Yeah, so there's not too many, and at the moment you're all adding to the industry.
Yes,
I suppose, and creating the industry.
We're still at that more the merrier phase. Every single new bike park that exists will actually create more riders and those more riders will end up getting a bike rack and putting their bikes on the car, and then spending the summer going to other bike parks and seeing what's going on, and that drives tourism, and that's good for business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what about your plans to grow for the future, whether that's the bike park or Hawk's Vision or whatever? Where do you see your, specifically the business growth coming from?
Right. So the short answer to that is I'm on the lookout for new clients.
Okay.
Right. So it doesn't have to be, I'm not, the bike park thing is a passion of mine, that's no doubt about it, but I don't necessarily need to just do that because I can find success in that. I'd love to do other types of work and get involved with other types of companies. I'm exploring the idea of maybe starting another company on my own in Finland. I can't exactly say what that's going to be yet, but there's some opportunities out there that I'm interested in doing. But growth by the means of diversification and finding new things, new opportunities, either through my consulting work or then starting another company.
So although you're busy, you've got capacity for more projects coming through in the future.
Yeah.
Whether they're shorter or longer term projects.
Yeah, I see business like I mean, maybe I'm incorrect to say this, but I see businesses owners as two kinds of people. There's the kind of business owners that create a business and then they just work in the business. I tend to kind of see it as, or I tend to get bored of just working in the business. I want to work on the business. So once I get something running, I want to kind of step out of it and make it run on its own and then do something new. That's my philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah, we said in the kind of introduction text to this podcast series that not every startup is supposed to be a unicorn. Mm-hmm. And some people, like you said, they want to do their thing for them to support their lifestyle. And you're not trying to grow any of these into a $1 billion startup, but still you've got a slightly different vision for how you want your business or businesses to run themselves.
Yeah.
Last question, what about a future plan or dream outside of the business? Where do you want all this to take you?
That's a good question. That's been on the topic of conversation in my personal life for probably since I moved to Finland, to be honest with you. I'm not entirely sure how to answer that question. I've learned a few things about myself through this process, and I'm coming back to the simple things. And I think where I want to be able to get to is that doing this work now, I'll build a future where I have the freedom to do the things that I enjoy on my own schedule. I think that's maybe the most vague but also accurate answer to your question.
So you want to have a business that's creating enough revenue so that you can go kick sledding or downhill mountain biking whenever you darn well please.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It sounds pretty good to me. I think that just about wraps up this episode. So thanks to Richard Haukka for joining us. All the best for all of your endeavours. I know that we'll be in contact and I'll be following what you're up to. Listener, Startup at the Finish was presented by me, Mark Wiltshire, and was produced by Suomen Yrittäjäopisto with support from the European Union Maaseuturahasto. The next episode will be along in a couple of weeks, but until then, thanks for listening and goodbye. Kiitos, hei.